Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Driven Shot podcast. I'll be your host today. My name is Peter Moneme, also known as Barça DNA on Twitter. And today is officially Marcus Rashford Day. He has been announced as a Barcelona player. The deal is done. He has arrived at the club from Manchester United on loan until the end of the season. And so, without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so Marcus Rashford is a new FC Barcelona player. The 27-year-old arrived in the city a few days ago in order to undergo his medicals, meet with Hansi Flick, meet his teammates, do some individual training for the most part. And now we've just been almost anxiously waiting for the deal to be finally announced by the club, and it now has been done. Marcus Rashford will wear the number 14 shirt. He is arriving here as a loan signing until the end of the season. There is no obligation for Barca to buy Marcus Rashford, but if they do want to purchase him, he will be likely available in the range between 30 and 35 million. So let's talk about it. Why is Rashford here? Why does this move make sense for both Barca and Rashford? And can he really rediscover his best form? Can he go to another level? And can he be the sort of player that Hansi Flick and Barca really hope that he can be? Let's talk about it. So, the first thing to know about this deal and why I think it's so important for Barcelona is this was a deal that was not a panic buy. Barca haven't gone out and panicked when it's come to Marcus Rashford. This is a transfer that they have wanted to make for months. In fact, Hansi Flick has wanted Rashford ever since January. The only reason why Rashford wasn't at the club sooner was because Ansu Fati did not accept leaving Barca in January. He refused to leave, and so because of that, Barca could not register Marcus Rashford had they signed him. So this is a signing that Barca have wanted to do for a long time. They've seen the value in Marcus Rashford, and more importantly, Hansi Flick has seen the value of Rashford and what he can do in his team. Hansi Flick as well also likes the profile of Rashford, of course, being that he is 6'1", he's a naturally, right-footed player. He can play on the left as a left winger. He can play through the middle. He's got lots of pace, very good dynamism there, very good traits for a Hansi Flick team, very good 1v1. And also, importantly, he's got an eye for goal. So this is a player that Hansi Flick likes, has planned around, and could actively see a role for him in his team. And that's always a very good sign when your manager knows exactly what he wants, where he wants you to play, what you can see you doing in his team. That is always a very good sign for a player who does it right with the club. And so this signing for Barca, it is not, a blind gamble. Both the club, the manager, and the player themselves, they know what they're getting themselves into with this move. And so this move will not be a surprise for Barca in the slightest. Another very good thing for Rashford in the situation is he's come into a club that is going to actively support him and try to get the best out of him. He already spoke earlier about how welcomed he felt at the club so far and all the support he's received from the fans. Rashford arrives at the club in a very interesting position. He only wanted Barca. He had other offers on the table, but even back 6 months ago, he only wanted Barca. He wanted to work with Flick. He wanted to work with the players here. He talked about it at length during the summer transfer window, how much he loved what Barca were doing and how much he'd be happy and would love to play with Lamine Yamal. And now that dream will become a reality. On top of that, I think Marcus Rashford, the profile that he has as a player really does suit Barcelona and this Hansi Flick team, especially because Rashford, compared to other targets that Barca were after, the likes of Nico Williams, the likes of Luis Diaz, Rashford is a player who has a natural knack for scoring goals. He has a natural sort of eye and instinct towards scoring goals. He's a very good finisher. He scored over 100 goals in his career up until this point, 138 goals, I believe, there for Manchester United. And so he's a player who comes with pedigree. He is not a player who is sort of, nobody knows, nobody really rates. He's a very good player, even despite some of the difficulties that he's had to endure. And just to show you how good of a player he truly is, in the last 7 seasons, Rashford has only failed to score 10 plus goals in 1 out of the last 7 seasons. This is a player who, even when he's struggling, you can regularly count on to get you at least 10 goals throughout the season and average around 5 to 10 assists. He's a very, very good player. He's very useful there for his teammates and very accommodating there to Hansi Flick. And a player who I think, regardless of the role he has, whether he is used as a starter to play every single game, if not most matches, or he's used as a player off the bench, I think his versatility and also his hunger, his desire as well to succeed in a Barcelona shirt will work very, very well with Hansi Flick and also, of course, with his fellow teammates. I think one thing that's very important to acknowledge with Rashford is the impact that his signing could have on Rafinha should Rashford establish himself as a starter. And that would be in Rafinha moving to the number 10 position and playing right underneath Lewandowski or Dani Olmo. Now, this means a lot for Marcus Rashford because one of the reasons why I believe he'll thrive at Barca is because he's going to be surrounded by so many creative players, especially when you talk about players like Pedri, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Dani Olmo, even Frankie de Jong, all players who will be looking to pick out his runs, pick out his movement there. And because of the attention that naturally Lamine Yamal is going to draw, being how good he is, naturally he's going to have at least 2 to 3 players almost with an eye on him every time he receives the ball and is trying to engage his opponent. Now, what this means for Rashford is he's going to find himself in many, many positions to be direct, in many positions to go right at goal, to take on his opponent, to cut inside, to look for a shot, look for a cross. He's going to find himself in positions that really suit his game and allow him to effectively use his skill set to his best ability, which is looking for a shot, looking for a pass, scoring goals. He's going to find himself in those positions a lot more frequently than he would have, say, for example, at Aston Villa or at Manchester United. And we've already seen as well with several players, whether it's Scott McTominay or David De Gea or Antony, players leaving Manchester United, going over to a new club and having a rebirth and having a sense of growth, a sense of form, a sense of belief in themselves, confidence being restored. And so very much so, I expect the same thing to happen to Marcus Rashford if he can hit the ground running at Barcelona. Now, this move really, I think in many ways, suits Rashford's motivations. He's a player who has a lot of doubters to prove wrong, especially a lot of doubters in England. You would think that for a move like this, the questions or the doubts perhaps would come from the Spanish media, but no, really a lot of the questions over Marcus Rashford, whether he deserves a move to Barcelona or whether he's good enough to play at this level, a lot of those doubts have come from England, surprisingly, given the impact he's had there, both on and off the pitch. You would expect him to be treated better than he has been so far. And so a move like this, the second English player to be signed for Barca, the first since Gary Lineker, means that really he comes here with a lot to prove, not only to himself as an individual, but really to not only the media, but also to Thomas Tuchel. Keep in mind, this is a World Cup year for Marcus Rashford. And so not only does he want to stay at Barca permanently, not only does he want to leave a lasting impression, but he also wants to be a part of that World Cup team in 2026. And so he has a lot to do in order to not only show Hansi Flick that he's worth keeping around, but to show Thomas Tuchel that he's worth having on the plane to the US for the World Cup in 2026. So for Marcus Rashford, there's lots for him to fight for. I think the general, again, the nature there of his play style, the way he likes to carry himself, the work that he likes to do both on and off the ball, in particular, he will be pushed by Hansi Flick to be more responsible. He'll be pushed by Hansi Flick to contribute more defensively, and he'll be pushed really to show his best version. I think Hansi Flick perhaps might try and do what he did with Gnabry, with Marcus Rashford. He might try and look to do what he did with Coleman or even do what he did with Rafinha, and really getting the best out of a player like Marcus Rashford. I do believe that there's lots of talent in there. we know that at his best, this is a player who was capable of scoring 30 goals a season. We saw that just a few seasons ago, where for a spell of 2 to 3 months, he was the best player in the world, scoring week in, week out, playing at a really, really high level in a struggling Manchester United team. And at the same time, this is a player who we've seen on 2 occasions as well, also scored over 20 goals in a season. So by no means is Marcus Rashford a bad player. He may have had some, poor spells and some difficult spells, but this is still a player who, if you can get him on Saul, if you can get him focused, if you can put an arm around him and really guide him, this is a player with bags of potential, a player who a few seasons ago would have been in similar conversations to the likes of to Mbappe, to Vinicius Jr. as one of the best young players in the world. And now, of course, he's a seasoned professional. He's entering the prime of his career. And now he has a lot to prove to the world, to himself, and to really the football world in general to show how good of a player he really, really is. So overall, I believe that this signing for Barca is a very good deal. It's a free hit. If Marcus Rashford arrives and impresses and does really, really well, then the purchase option of 30 to 35 million will seem very, very cheap, and Barca will have no issues meeting that fee in 2026 to keep him around long term. However, if Rashford arrives and perhaps maybe due to injuries or a lack of effort or, consistency, whatever it may be, if he doesn't work out as a Barcelona player, then really the only thing that Barca would have to do is pay a penalty similar to what Chelsea did for Jadon Sancho and then let Rashford go. And really that fee for Barca is going to likely be below 5 million. So it's not going to be a huge expenditure. So overall, for me, I think this is a really good deal for Barcelona. I think when you compare this deal to what could have been done for, Ika Williams before that deal fell through, paying 58 million there completely all at once. When you compare it to what happened with Luis Diaz, and of course, for Liverpool, wanting Barca to pay over 100 million, if not 100 million itself, for Luis Diaz, and that was never going to be an option on the table. And even players like Xavi Simons as well was also being used as an option, but he's also a player who's not really an out-and-out left winger. And on top of that, the price tag would have been far too much. So overall, I think for Barca, this is a smart deal. I think it's probably the best option that they could have gotten there on the window there for the market price. Of course, not paying a transfer fee at all, only a few million to pay in wages. Of course, Rashford did also, it should be said, take a pay cut in order to play for Barcelona. And so the club is much, much more, been appreciative to that stance with Rashford. In addition, of course, he didn't ask for guarantees over registration or things like that. He had full faith in the club, just like Rafinha, like Lewandowski, like Inigo Martinez, like Koundé, like Pau Victor, like Dani Olmo. He had full trust in the club. They appreciated that. Like Joan Garcia as well, full trust in the board, in the club. And now he is a Barcelona player. He was recovering from a hamstring injury towards the end of the season, but he has already received the medical green light, and he will travel with Barcelona as they begin their tour in Asia. So, Marcus Rashford is a Barcelona player. He will be with the team as we begin preseason, and I'll be here to cover Barcelona throughout their preseason tour with their matches, the tactics, how players fit in, how Rashford fits in, and everything to do with Barcelona will be covered by yours truly. So, that is it for this video. Thank you very, very much for watching. Thanks for your time as always. And until next time, take care and Visca Barça.